The moment Vanessa drove off for her so called business trip with her secret lover, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I quietly logged into our joint account and emptied it, every cent. If she was going to betray me, she'd do it without my money, my name, or my silence. This isn't just a story of heartbreak. It's the story of how I took my power back, one calculated move at a time. And trust me, she never saw it coming. Welcome to Infidelity Truths. Before we dive into today's gripping story, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us create more thrilling stories just for you. Let's begin. As soon as Vanessa left for her so-called business trip to New York, with her lover, now that she thought I knew, I wasted no time. The moment her car disappeared down the driveway, I sprang into action. I wasn't going to sit around wallowing in heartbreak or demanding answers she'd only lie through. I had something far more effective in mind. The first move? Financial warfare. I logged into our joint accounts and, with a steady hand, moved every cent into my personal savings. This wasn't out of spite or greed. It was about reclaiming what was mine, what I had worked for while she played house and planned her betrayal. I left just enough in the account to make her notice. Not enough to ruin her trip outright, but enough to disrupt it. She'd feel it. Next, I erased her from my digital life. Off the shared phone plan. Blocked on my phone. Deleted from social media. No texts, no calls, no fake apologies. I made sure she had no easy way back in. The silence would be louder than any screaming match we could have had. But what sealed the deal, what made the whole thing worth it, was the call from her mother the very next morning. Her number lit up my screen like a flare before the explosion. I answered. "You selfish bastard," she screamed. "Because of you, she can't enjoy her trip with a real man." I paused, let the venom hang in the air for just a second, and then replied coldly, "If he's a real man, then he can pay for her escort services." Silence. A gasp. Then I ended the call. That was the last time I spoke to any of them. You see, I didn't fall apart. I didn't beg. I didn't lose sleep wondering why. I already had the answers, laid out in affectionate texts, secret travel plans, and a level of deceit I couldn't have imagined from someone I once shared everything with. For 8 years, I believed we had something real, a cozy home in the Austin suburbs, two stable jobs, vacations, laughter, the kind of marriage people envied. But underneath, something had been rotting. Vanessa stopped talking to me the way she used to. She became secretive, always on her phone, pulling away from me like I was a stranger in our own house. Late nights at the office became routine. My gut had been screaming for months, but I ignored it and until I couldn't. One night, she left her phone beside her in bed. A message lit up the screen. My hand trembled as I picked it up. And there it was. Intimate texts, plans for the New York trip. None of it for me. In that moment, something snapped. Not just my heart, my belief in us. She had chosen someone else. Willingly, proudly, recklessly. She thought I'd never find out. Or worse, she thought I'd do nothing if I did. She was wrong. That night, while she slept beside me like everything was fine, I made a decision. I wouldn't scream, I wouldn't plead, I would disappear and take her safety net with me. By the time she landed in New York and tried to buy dinner, reality hit. Her card got declined. No access to funds. No way to reach me. Just her affair partner, and a growing panic. And Derek, her real man, now he had to cover everything. Romance turned into tension, a fantasy crumbling under the weight of my silence. Meanwhile, Vanessa's mother wasn't done. After my cold response, she spammed me with voicemails. Some furious, some desperate. I ignored them all. I had nothing left to say. They didn't deserve my words, only the consequences. Vanessa lost everything. My trust, my support, my name, and me. I found something I hadn't felt in a long time: peace. I rebuilt my life slowly, deliberately. No more pretending, no more carrying someone else's lies on my shoulders. Looking back, it wasn't just about revenge, it was about reclaiming myself. Sometimes healing isn't about walking away. Sometimes it's about making sure they feel every ripple of what they caused. And I made sure. Now, standing in the light of a new chapter, I've never been happier. Vanessa learned the hard way. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. Her betrayal cost her everything. And the sting of losing me? That'll last longer than any affair ever could. As the story closes, Malcolm turns to the audience, his gaze calm and steady. What would you have done? He asks, inviting you in. If this story hit home, leave a like, subscribe, and click the bell. We've got more stories like this one coming your way. Let's explore these journeys together. And with that, Malcolm's chapter ends, not in bitterness, but in resolve. Malcolm didn't check his phone for messages. He didn't need to. He knew exactly what he'd find: desperation, rage, maybe even apologies. But none of it mattered now. He was done. Vanessa had made her choice when she boarded that plane to New York, giggling in the backseat of a rideshare with a man she thought was her future. A man who wasn't even prepared to cover their hotel bill when the card declined. Malcolm imagined the scene: her scrolling through her banking app, eyes widening, calling him, voicemail, again and again, then texting, swearing, pleading, and finally, nothing. The silence was louder than anything she could have said. Meanwhile, Derek, the so-called real man, was beginning to feel the weight of reality too. He had played the fun side piece, the escape from routine. But now, with no funding, no hotel room, and a stressed out Vanessa questioning her every decision, the fantasy started to rot. Back in Austin, Malcolm was finally breathing again. For the first time in years, his chest didn't feel tight. He wasn't wondering where she was or who she was with. He already knew, and more importantly, he no longer cared. But Vanessa, she was unraveling. 2 days into the trip, her mother sent Malcolm another voice message. This time, her tone had shifted. No longer rage, now it was guilt. Malcolm, please. She made a mistake. She wasn't thinking clearly. You two have so much history. Don't throw it away over one slip-up. One slip-up? He almost laughed. This wasn't a drunken kiss at an office party. This was a calculated affair, planned weeks in advance, texts, meetings, secret hotel bookings, a business trip turned into a betrayal tour. He didn't reply. Later that night, an unfamiliar number texted him. I know I messed up, but I'm stranded here. Can you please just send enough for a ticket home? Please. Vanessa, of course. Malcolm stared at the screen for a long time. Not because he was tempted, but because for the first time, he saw her clearly. Not the woman he married, not the partner he once loved. Just a liar facing consequences she never thought would catch up. He didn't reply to that either. Instead, he poured himself a drink, stepped outside into the cool night air, and smiled. He was reclaiming his peace one quiet moment at a time. Meanwhile, back in New York, Vanessa's vacation had crumbled. Derek had changed. No more sweet words, no more hotel dinners. Instead, he was irritable, calculating expenses, treating her like a burden. She tried to keep the illusion alive, but the tension was obvious. Maybe you should call your husband, Derek finally snapped one evening. I did, she snapped back. He blocked me. Well, maybe you shouldn't have cheated on the guy paying your bills, he muttered. That night, she cried in the hotel bathroom, the cold floor biting into her knees. Her world was collapsing. She thought she'd be on a romantic getaway with her new man, but now she was broke, humiliated, and completely cut off. Vanessa flew back home 3 days early, alone. Malcolm wasn't there when she arrived. Her key card no longer worked. Her name was off every account: bank, phone, utilities. She called her mom, begged for a place to stay. Her mother, once so fiery, now offered a quiet, judgmental place on the couch. That night, Vanessa cried herself to sleep. Meanwhile, Malcolm was already moving on. He'd met Selena, a quiet, grounded woman with no agenda. They started as friends, conversations over coffee, walks at the park. She didn't ask about Vanessa, she didn't pry, she listened. And that was something he hadn't felt in years, seen. When word spread that Malcolm was seeing someone new, Vanessa snapped. Another message. So you just moved on after everything we've been through? After everything you did, Malcolm replied for the first time, I made a mistake, But you're heartless. Malcolm thought long and hard before sending the final text. Number they just finally realized my worth. He blocked her again. 6 months later, Malcolm had filed for divorce. Vanessa never fought it. There was nothing left to hold on to. Not love, not pride, not even her new relationship. Derek had disappeared weeks after the trip. Word was he ghosted her, blocked her too. She tried dating again, but the shame followed her everywhere. Malcolm, on the other hand, was thriving. A new home, a new life, a woman who respected him. Peace. The kind of peace that comes after a storm you thought would destroy you, but instead made you stronger. Malcolm sits on a bench, sunlight warming his face, a coffee in hand. His eyes are calm, steady. He turns to the camera. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't anger, it's silence. It's rebuilding. It's thriving in the exact place where they tried to break you. So, what would you have done? If this story struck a chord, drop a like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another one. Let's keep walking through these stories together. And with that, Malcolm stands up, back straight, and walks off toward a life completely his own. 2 months had passed since Malcolm officially filed for divorce. The papers were signed, the house was sold, and Vanessa had been living in her mother's cramped guest room, watching her life crumble from the sidelines. She checked Malcolm's social media more often than she cared to admit. He looked good, healthier, happier, like someone who had escaped something toxic, like someone she used to be part of. What stung most wasn't just that he'd moved on, it was who he'd moved on with. Selena, the woman who used to be a background name in their social circle. Quiet, reserved, thoughtful. Vanessa had barely noticed her when she was still Mrs. Williams. But now Selena was everywhere Malcolm was, at charity events, out hiking, laughing over dinner. And she hated it. One night, after too many glasses of wine and not enough dignity, Vanessa did something she promised she wouldn't do. She called him. Blocked number, of course, but she used her work phone this time. And, to her shock, it rang, and he answered. Hello? Malcolm, it's me, Vanessa. There was silence, heavy, uncomfortable silence. What do you want? He asked coldly. Her voice cracked. I wanted to talk. Can we meet? Another pause. There's nothing left to say. Please, she whispered. Just once. Malcolm didn't agree right away. He didn't owe her anything, not time, not energy, not closure. But after 2 days of thought, he said yes. Not for her, but for himself. To end it the right way, on his terms. They met at a quiet cafe in the outskirts of town. Vanessa was already seated, nervously fidgeting with her cup. She looked different, tired, paler, like someone who had lost more than just a husband. When Malcolm walked in, he looked exactly how she feared. Calm, clean-cut, confident. Like a man who had rebuilt himself from ashes. Thanks for coming, she said softly. He nodded, but didn't smile. Say what you came to say. She hesitated. Then the words spilled out in a messy flood. I messed up. I know I did. And not just the affair, I was selfish. I let something real fall apart. And I've been trying to fix my life, but it doesn't make sense without you. Malcolm leaned back, arms crossed. It never did make sense with you. I just didn't see it then. Her eyes filled with tears. I don't want forgiveness. I want another chance. He looked at her like she was a stranger. Vanessa, I gave you 8 years. I was loyal, patient, blind. You took all of that and gambled it for a man who couldn't even pay for your hotel room. She looked down, ashamed. I was angry, confused. You worked all the time. Don't, he cut her off. Don't rewrite the story to make it easier to swallow. You weren't confused. You were selfish. She wiped her eyes. I'm still in love with you. Malcolm shook his head slowly. You don't love me. You missed the version of me that carried you, paid for everything, forgave everything. That man's gone. Is it because of her? She asked bitterly. It's because of me, he said firmly. Selena didn't fix me. I did. She just met me after the storm. Vanessa's heart shattered. So that's it? She whispered. Malcolm stood up. That's it. And just before walking away, he added, some betrayals don't end relationships. They reveal the truth that it was over long ago. Later, that night, Vanessa sat in her car in the cafe parking lot long after Malcolm had gone. The coffee had gone cold. The tears hadn't. And Malcolm? He was at dinner with Selena, smiling, laughing, light pouring from his face. Because he wasn't looking back anymore, Malcolm addresses the audience, his tone reflective but firm. Sometimes the closure we seek isn't in answers. It's in realizing we already know them. She thought I was the fallback, the safe bet, the man who would always be there. But even the strongest bridges burn when betrayal is the fuel. He leans in, gaze steady. What would you have done in my shoes? Vanessa wasn't done. After their final meeting at the cafe, Malcolm had expected her to disappear quietly. Instead, what followed was a campaign of subtle sabotage and petty desperation. First came the rumors. Whispers in their former social circles that Selena had been waiting in the wings even before the divorce. Vanessa painted her as a home wrecker, spreading half-truths and full lies to anyone who would listen. Then came the fake social media accounts, anonymous comments under Malcolm and Selena's posts, hinting at secrets, calling Selena manipulative, calling him cold. He knew it was her. The writing style, the bitter tone, it all reeked of Vanessa. But the final straw came when Selena received an anonymous email at her workplace. It contained photos from the past, old pictures of Malcolm and Vanessa smiling together on vacations, framed as evidence of his supposed double life. Selena was smart. She knew exactly what it was, a desperate attempt to create cracks in a bond that had already proven unshakable. That night, Malcolm sat Selena down. I know who's behind this, he said calmly. Vanessa, Selena replied without hesitation. He nodded. I'll handle it. Vanessa didn't expect him to show up at her mother's house again. When she saw him standing there, dressed in gray slacks and a black button-up, looking more powerful than he ever did during their marriage, she almost didn't open the door, but curiosity and ego won. What are you doing here? She asked, arms folded. You've said your piece, Vanessa. I've moved on. You need to do the same. You think I'm just going to watch you ride off into the sunset with her? Yes, he said plainly, because that's the choice you made the night you left with another man. She flinched, but he wasn't done. You think she took something from you, but she didn't. You gave it away. You chose excitement over commitment, lies over truth. Now you're angry because I stopped letting you hurt me. Her voice cracked. I still love you, Malcolm. Then love should have meant something when I was begging for your time, your honesty, your partnership. You were always working to build a life for us, he snapped, finally raising his voice, so we'd never have to struggle. And while I was doing that, you were planning secret hotel stays and business trips with someone who couldn't even buy you dinner without my money. Tears filled her eyes, but he wasn't cruel, just honest. This is the last time we speak. There's no going back. There's no friendship. No check-ins. No late-night calls when you're lonely. I forgave you, Vanessa, but I'm never letting you in again. Then as she stood there trembling, he did the one thing she didn't expect. He stepped forward and gently placed a folded letter into her hand. That's for you. Closure. Everything I ever wanted to say that I didn't. Read it, cry if you have to, but let me go. And with that, Malcolm turned and walked away, without back. We could have had forever, but you chose a moment. I don't hate you. I just love myself too much now to ever go back. What we had died long before you cheated. I was just too afraid to see it. But now I see everything clearly. I wish you healing, but not proximity. Goodbye, Vanessa. 1 year later, Malcolm and Selena stood beneath a soft sunset at their engagement party. Friends gathered around, laughter echoing in the air. There was peace in Malcolm's heart, something he hadn't felt in years. He had rebuilt his life, not just on love, but on truth, growth, and resilience. Somewhere across town, Vanessa sat alone in her car, the wedding announcement open on her phone. She didn't cry this time. There were no more schemes or pleas, only silence. and regret. You can't undo betrayal. You can't unbreak trust, but you can rise from the ashes and build something stronger. I didn't need revenge. I needed healing, and I found it, not in her apology, but in my own strength. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. And remember, sometimes the most powerful move is moving on.